Wow, it's good to have all of you here again. Welcome once again to Shagalinku. This is the Saturday's edition of the program, and this is welcoming you all. Let me start by saying thank you to everyone who's always watched us, everyone who's dropped comments for us. Our comment sessions are always there to reach us. You can also inbox us via our Facebook and all that. A lot of times, people also tell us that they want to join us via text message or WhatsApp. So the number is also going to be scrolling on the screen. So if you have your comments during the program, you could drop it on +234 8054383460, and we'll read your comments as we go on the program. I sincerely must thank everyone who's been sending comments, opinions on how we can make the program better, and also to everyone who makes sure that every episode we are live here by supporting us with technical support and otherwise. We really appreciate all of you. Okay, back to our topic for today. For those of you who watched or joined us on Facebook, you'll see our flyers going around, and we're looking at reading culture. Why are people not too keen about reading anymore, not too interested in reading anymore? I also said when I posted the flyers on our Shagalinku TV page that there's this adage that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book, he probably may not look for it anyway. And so, how true is that? And even among young people, reading culture is also declining. No thanks to technology, so many things are on the move, instant Indomie, instant connectivity, and people find it very hard these days to read. So we'll be looking at all that. What can we do to improve and make people interested in reading, particularly for young people? What can we also do to make it interesting? I know there are a lot of ebooks now and all that, but then are young people reading? Are people generally also interested in reading, or they just want people to read and just get to know all that from them? Today I have two guests joining me, and they'll be talking extensively on our topic of discussion. And let me also say that you too can be part of the discussion. Just let us know on our comment session what you think about our topic of discussion. Drop your comments, your views, and we'll be reading them as the program progresses. Okay, so let me bring in my two guests. I have Ornella Nana, all the way from Dublin, Ireland. Hi, Ornella. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi,
Yeah,
everyone.
how are you doing? Good to have you again.
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay, and Favor, welcome to the program. Hi, Favor. Okay, yeah, hi, Favor. Okay, yes, I can hear you now, Favor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, Miss Nana.
You, you guys are
Hello,
looking very
Favor.
hot.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ornella, it's been long. You are looking very good. Dublin is treating you well, I can see.
Thank you. It is indeed, although we are still on the second lockdown, but I mean, we are surviving, with the whole corona crisis. It hasn't been easy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that last week or last 2 weeks when I also had another guest from Dublin, and she was saying, I was asking her how it is, everyone is coping with the second wave. Just
I'm
when we
having
were beginning to
difficulties
be
in hearing you.
okay, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Okay, so let me come back to Favor, and then let's talk a little while we wait for Onella. Favor Bassi, you're a regular here, so I wouldn't be introducing you. But for those who don't know, Favor is a mass communication um, enthusiast. She's a girl child education activist. She's a researcher, and um, she's no more an upcoming broadcaster.
Thank you,
she's
sir.
been a
Thank
re-
you very much,
she's
sir.
she's been a regular here on the show, and okay, Ornella is back. I really wanted to start off with Ornella because I want her take on these things, and then I'll come back to Favor. So, Ornella, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
But I
Hello?
can hear you. Favor, can you hear her?
I can hear her
Okay.
clearly.
Okay. Anyway, we'll just come back to her. So let's just hope that she gets us. So, Favor, we're looking at reading culture. I was going to sample Onella's view. Let's see what it is like in Europe and all that. And I know, yes, general, I know demography might be different, but then sometimes, people also have similarities, So you take a young lady from Nigeria or Africa, you find that she will like a few things that any other young lady outside the country or outside our client might also like. Let's even look at reading culture. What do you think about that? And how is it like, even before we look at the decline or the increase?
Well, see, as someone that does research, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
As someone that does research and still studying things, I would say the reading culture of our people, that is in Africa as a whole, has really, really, really gone down. And it's not that we didn't have it before, because we have forefathers who studied, who researched, who did so many things, fighting for independence here and there. They had to prove that they were the best in everything they were doing in order to get to that point. So we have a very strong.
Okay. Um, I lost that. Okay, let me bring back Favor. Favor, sorry, the you went off, so come back. Yeah, thank you.
So
Go
we
on.
have a very really strong reading culture. As of back then, our forefathers having to struggle to meet up with their compatriots, that's the white people, colonial masters and all. So for them to come out of that, they really needed to do a lot of work. They needed to study, they needed to research, read a lot of books and materials and all the rest of them back then to the first newspaper and all. So we have a very strong reading culture, but a lot of, how will I put it, a lot of effects, a lot of attributes have really brought down that culture. A lot of it. So as of right now, you have the increase in technology. Now people don't read; we will just be on phones. We have social media as a distraction. We have so many things. So reading culture as a whole, in especially in Africa, has gone really down. Has really, really gone down.
Okay, beautiful one there. Okay, let me bring Onella now. Onella, I hope you can hear me well now. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Can you hear me now? You have to unmute your mic, Onella. Oh, Onella has gone off. So, Favor, let me have you back again. I know this is a very interesting topic because from when the flyers came out, so many people have um, been sending their comments and all that, and it's it's um, it's really interesting to know. So I'll just read a few messages and then wait for Onella to join us. I think she's having difficulties with the audio, and I just hope when she joins, she lets us know that her audio is on, and then I'll take it. So, for those of you watching, what do you think about reading culture? How can we make it interesting for people to start reading? The technology is also not helping. It makes so many things easy now, but I think technology should have helped in encouraging reading culture. So if we say technology is not helping, then it means a whole lot, you know. I'll have so please keep your comments coming. I'll read them. I want my guests to be on here so that when I read the comments, they can respond to them. So, Favor, you are back. Okay, I'm trying to get Ornella to also join us. So, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I think it's better
Oh,
now.
better, better. Okay, so Onela, I'd like you to introduce yourself. I know it's been a while you've been on the show, but Favor just joined us last week, and so she's still fresh in our memories. So I'd like you to let us know who you are, what you do, your organization, what you currently are doing, and then we'll go on to talk about the topic of discussion.
Okay, so basically, to those viewing, my name is Ornella Nana, and I'm a founder of a rising movement called International Youth Empowerment based in Ireland. And it's basically to support primarily the Sustainable Development Goals and also empower other young people to reach and maximize their potential. At the moment, I am currently CEO of a company called Ornella Corporation, which focuses on providing luxury accessories and shipping all over the world. So that's basically what I do at the moment. So I'm a little bit in the corporate and a little bit in advocacy work. So yes.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. So let's take it from where we stopped. I was trying to have you first so that we look at a few things that has been going on, why the reading culture is a bit difficult for young people and then people generally. No thanks to technology now, so many things are becoming easy. Even the holy books are being put in audios and videos so that people could get inspired, not read now, get inspired while on the move. So people are driving, they could play the Bible or the Quran and all that. So why why is there a decline if you agree, but if you think it's an increase, but why is there a decline in the reading culture of people and then particularly young people?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I disagree first and foremost with the fact that there is a decline because, in my point of view, I think there is an increase, but it also depends on the type of reading. I think now with technology, we have been bombarded with mass information, and the problem really is selecting the type of reading that we do every day, because even on social media and any other platforms, we look at Instagram, I mean, we look at YouTube, all the platforms that are meant for pictures and videos are now having to adapt to this reading sort of enforcing reading on people to the point of like having subtitles and stuff like that. So I think you're really bombarded with letters and readings everywhere you go. But in terms of selective reading, we're talking about factual information rather than misinformation. I think people have the opportunity to read everything everywhere, you know. But I think very few people now sit down to take a novel or a book or a lesson to actually concentrate on a particular topic or focus on a subject and read it fully to understand it and compare and analyze. And so I think the decline is more related in that perspective, more so than reading in general, because there is more availability in reading now than there was before.
Mm, okay. Thank you very much, Nella. I'll come back. First of all, let me take a few messages. I've so many are dropping in here, and I know this topic was going to cause a whole lot of commotion because it will really be for some people think that there isn't any decline, just like you, Nella, and some people will also think there's a huge decline, like Favor. So I know a lot of it will be very debatable. So let me take a few messages. This one is from Edoso and Rosemary. It says, good job to two of you. And then on this side of the divide, I got some messages from Dr. Christopher Ugu. He says, thumbs up, my ambassador. And then this one is from Saeed Olalekan Ahmed. And it says, no one can influence reading culture in today's youth. With HD graphics or videos everywhere at our disposal, reading is a boring option to many people. Ornella, what do you think about that before I come to
Yeah,
um
definitely. Definitely, I do agree with him. That's what I was mentioning earlier about the mass information. I think the problem now is actually selective, the right reading for us, the informative reading that we need to actually not to be actually knowledgeable about a certain topic. But now, like when you open your phone, you open your computer, you're just bombarded with all sort of information. I mean, whether it's true or whether there is true in that or not. I mean, the information is just everywhere. If you want to read it, you scroll down your Facebook, you see articles, and even when you see videos, I mean, they're reinforced. Even when they're muted, they're reinforced with reading elements so that you can definitely read, even when you're not watching the video and you're just scrolling down. So I think reading is definitely there. Accessibility as well have changed as compared to before with technology. I don't think we had the same access to reading before as we do now with technology. I mean, we have Amazon, we have Kindle, and also for printing companies. I mean, there has been an elevation in the mass printing because you do not longer need to sort of have the paper, have the ink, and everything. Everything is now accessible online in technology. You know, sometimes you would have books. That would be sold out and you would need to wait for another printing session or for the book to be available again. I mean, now when the physical book is sold out, you have the technological version that you can access. So I think accessibility is definitely a great shift and a great advantage. um, Whether you choose, whether you look at that as something positive or not, I mean, it depends on each individual. Yeah.
Yeah. Favor, let's come to you. I saw you nodding your head when Onela was saying a few things. And then this man here said HD graphics and all that because they are so appealing, that you don't even know. Reading becomes so boring. Like you would rather watch. If education was meant to be in a video, I'm sure a lot of people who watch will get A1s, and excel on it. So, Favor, what's your take? So many we're reading them. Yeah, you have to unmute your mic, Favor.
My take is I feel Nana is right because nowadays this the whole media as a whole, as the whole population in the world is being bombarded with a lot of information, whether they are the right ones, whether they are correct, whether it's false or not. In fact, we have more false information nowadays. So she is actually very right. The problem we're having now is which of the information is right or which one is needed at that time. If you go online now and search for a very simple thing, okay, how to buy shoes, for instance, and you want to search for something like that, you see a whole ton of information, the ones you need, the ones you don't need.
Yeah, please go on. Uh, okay, she's gone off. Okay, let's take you, Nella, and come back to network is just doing funnily for
Yeah.
us. So yeah, so let me
Just
come back to
something.
you, Nella. Yeah, go on.
No, just something that came into mind when she was saying that. Another thing as well, especially when it relates to young people. I mean, we're living in a culture that have made us so impatient in so many ways. I mean, in the traditional way, we used to kind of like have the time to sit down and do things properly, have the time to read a book and analyze the book and sort of look at it from different perspectives. Even in school nowadays, people are using technology instead of using concrete books to actually read. So I think the patience to sit down and read have gone from the culture itself, because we're living in a culture that is so fast paced now that people do no longer have the time to actually sit down and take the time to read a book and understand it and sort of give perspective to it. I think that's the different now. That's just one thing I wanted to add.
Okay, beautiful one there. So, in case you just joined us, the program is the Saturday's edition of Shagalinku, and we're looking at the reading culture, what we can do to make it interesting for young people and people generally. And I have my guests here, Ornella and Nana from Dublin, Ireland, and I also have Favor Basi from Abuja, Nigeria. Ornella, if you can see these messages on the screen, I'd like you to read some of them, and then we'll respond to them.
Okay. Interesting topic, but do we ever have what is known as reading culture? Reading culture is different from reading to pass exams that we do mostly. After exams, only few read for pleasure or for their children. We can go back in time, but time has changed. The time of moonlight stories in the village can be converted to reading culture. Good luck. That is from Oladele Olowale.
Hmm. Yeah. What do you have to say?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean the reading
yeah,
culture.
yeah.
He's asking if the
Well,
if there's
so
such thing
in
as.
fact, he just drew my attention to that because I was going to also ask you that a lot of times people also read just to pass exams, particularly for students. So little wonder that some students come out and they barely can defend some of the certificates um, the projects that they have. So he just spoke one of the questions I was going to ask you, that how can we also begin to encourage young people not to read just for exams and to have grades, but to read as a culture, to read to understand, to read to explore. There are difference that you're reading just to please your lecturer and then to get good grades, and then to read so that you have knowledge. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I think that the culture um have changed, if that's my opinion anyways, that the culture have changed. Yes, people used to read for exam, and people are still reading for exams, and some of these readings for exam, when you do come out of the exam, you don't remember half of the things you even studied. I am, or I was a victim of that myself, um, but now I think we're living in a culture where people are hungry for information. People have access to information, so therefore, after exams, people still read, but the read with a goal to learn about a certain skill set. The read with a goal to learn about a certain topic, but they don't just read for pleasure. I think the reading for pleasure is shift is have really declined as compared to what it was before. But I think people are still reading, and whether it's for an exam or to learn about a specific skill set, or whether it's to learn about how to start a business, or how to start a new YouTube, or to learn about a political party or a topic, I think people still read. And I think that's why the world is more and more bombarded with mass information, because there is a demand for it, and the
Okay.
need and the need needs to be met somewhere. So I think people do still read.
Okay, that's good. Let me take a few more messages that are here. This is from Karim A. Jackson, and it says, less reading right now, but there is a massive increase of consumption of data. We are into practical reading now. Even schools' studies have changed and demand better real world content. And he also says a second message from Karim, all the way from Karim is one of our very regular viewer from in Ireland, in Asia, and he says even even maths, none will add. They will grab the cell phone calculator. Okay, he said even maths, no one will add. They will grab the cell phone. What do you
If
have to
it's
say, Ornella?
Yeah, that's true. That's true because I've seen even with the generation that is behind me now, or in schools, technology has been used in a way, that does not encourage necessarily the traditional reading that, we were used to. I think like in Ireland, I know some schools are using tablets, for example, and computers, and learning have now been converted into videos, and even when you go online, or even when you want to access, coursework for certain from certain educational institution, before you would have bunch of books that would be handed over to you or recommended to you, but now you have sets of videos with reading titles under, and I think that's where the shifting and the technology comes in, the shifting in the culture comes in. I mean, people are more lenient into watching a video, an informative videos, with the reading on the title, rather than taking a book and spend an hour or 2 hours to read about the topic. If you can watch it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes online, why take 2 hours to read it? And again, it goes back to the application of time. People do not
Okay.
longer have the patience.
Yeah. So
Hello.
okay, we seem to be having problems getting Ornella. So the program is Shagalinku TV. This is the Saturday's edition. It comes away every Saturday and Tuesdays, 2 p.m. West African time. Do remember to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're streaming live from 3 destinations. So we're streaming live on Shagalinku TV on our Facebook page. We're also streaming live on YouTube right now on Shagalinku TV, and also on my personal page, Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari. So these are the 3 destinations that we're streaming from live right now. Do drop your comments and tell us what you think about our topic of discussion. We're looking at reading culture. How can we change the mindset of young people to also start reading, like Oladele also pointed out that a lot of people read just to um, pass their exams, and after then it's bye bye to the education. And I still have with me my guests, Onela Nana from Dublin, Ireland, and Favor Bassi. She's having a little issue with her network, but as soon as we're able to get her, we'll put her on. So Onela, let's come back to you. Okay, so many messages are here. Let me just let you read some of them, and then
Okay.
we could come back and respond. This is from Matthias Idris. So, Nella, if you could see it, just read it for us and respond.
Okay. Reading culture nowadays has declined significantly. So, improving reading culture, or a way of improving reading culture, is by engaging the child. Why am I emphasizing on the child? There is this scripture or saying, train up a child in the way he should grow, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. Engaging the child is essential to ensure that they foster a love of reading, and secondly, encouragements. Yeah. And that was from Matthias Idris. Can you hear me, Emmanuel? I can hear you perfectly.
Yes, 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 go on.
Yeah, so that was from Matthias Idris. I think she
Yes,
has a
please go
point,
on. We can
definitely.
hear you. Mm,
Okay, I think she's right. I think if I think it depends on how you train the child in getting used to the reading. Like I said earlier, and I keep on saying, is people have basically lost the patience of sitting down and reading, the passion for reading itself, because
okay.
everything is so easily accessible via videos. But I think if you do train the child up from a very young age and nurture them to have that passion of reading again, I think it's possible um, to have them reading when they're growing older. However, though, I do think that selective reading, I think people need to start selecting the type of information that they're reading more, because while we still have a lot of information available everywhere and accessible everywhere, now you can be on the bus, you can be in the taxi reading, information are just accessible everywhere. While we do have information accessible everywhere, I think um, choosing the type of information is important. Being more intentional about the type of reading that you choose is important.
I like the fact that you talked about selective reading because that's the only way we can begin to get people to read more. So let's not force them to read. Some people don't like maths, some people don't like, they see it as boring or very difficult. So if we begin to also create avenues where they could read for pleasure, we could use that stance of reading for pleasure and convert it into something else. Now, tell us a little bit more about what your organization is doing for young people. Because the truth is also that in Africa, a lot of young people are also like, you know what will it even benefit me from reading? I mean, let's go out there and hustle and get the money. We can always get what we want when the money is there. But they are forgetting that even as a business person or as an entrepreneur, you need you need that knowledge base that comes from a culture of reading. So reading is like a seed being sown. It may not germinate immediately, but when you imbibe that culture, you find that you are able to surmount a whole lot because when you are faced with a certain kind of challenge, you remember what you've read and you could put it into action. So tell us more about what your organization does for young people.
Yes, definitely. Before I go straight to my organization, there's a point I want to make about the impact of uh,
Hello, Nella, are you
declining
there?
re. Yeah, can you hear me? I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Okay. While we're waiting for Ornella to reconnect, the network is really terrible today. So we're looking at reading culture and what we can do as persons, as individuals, to also help. I think moving forward to the government should do a whole lot, make reading culture a habit. Matthias had said it all there that parents should also imbibe that in their children as they grow up. When children learn to, it doesn't have to be something very tough, from storybooks, bedtime stories, and all that. Kids grow up from that way and they're also able to learn from all that. The government should also be able to, well, working with Ministry of Information and Education as well, they could do a whole lot in finding ways to make it very interesting. So probably just giving assignments to children in secondary schools or even primary schools, um, to ask them to read a few things and let them express or tell us what they understand by all that. Because when you tell a child to read a few things and let him or her explain to you, there is this seriousness they put into trying to read all that because they will want to have something to say. I was going to ask Ornella what our organization does for young people. Ornella, are you back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. Sorry, your network has
Okay,
been going off and on, but we can manage. So I was
sorry.
asking you
Yeah.
before you went off that what is the organization doing for young people? So also looking at it in a way that we could improve their lifestyles and also help them imbibe reading culture.
Yeah. So first and foremost, when it relates to reading, before I shoot back to the organization, I think when it comes to young people, my only concern is like the lack of reading. So if we're being shooted with video instead of books, and if we're learning through mass information or quick videos instead of books, will that have an impact on the writing skills of young people?
True.
Because I know reading itself, build up to your writing skills. So if there is less reading among young people, is there a concern there that people are more inclined into speaking without necessarily knowing how to write because of the lack of reading? So that's my concern. But when it comes to INTA itself, which is the organization, you can also visit the webpage at www.intai.org. So what we do, the work we do, is based around sustainability, and just to put that back into the reading perspective, I think technology and reading in itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's how you approach it and how you use it that can be damaging to you or your future or your writing or reading skills. Because with the books accessible via technology, that means also that there is less tree being chopped down. There's more climate consciousness. There's more environmental consciousness, which reduces the amount of paper being produced to print out books. And I think from that angle, it's very beneficial to have technology, you know, to have reading via technology. And that's one thing that my organization is also focusing on, the aspect of sustainability. I don't know if people are now familiar. I'm thinking that people are now familiar to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which was initiated by the UN, the United Nations. And we focus on those goals, and we focus on topics like climate change. We focus on going to school and educating young people about environmental friendly practices that they can do. And in that regard, then, reading, for example, using a tablet rather than using a concrete book would be, for example, one of the best practices that can be recommended for environmental friendly purposes. So I think my organization then empowers young people, mentor young people, and also try to advocate at policy level, at governmental level in policies, and also try and organize workshops within community to understand the need of young people, because this is so essential to the future of the world in itself, and it's a growing and it's a rising movement. And I think because we always say that young people are the leaders of the future, I think it's important that we nurture them and we understand their needs right now in order to draft the right policies that would be beneficial and more coherent in the future. And I think one of the viewers mentioned earlier about teaching a child the way that they should go, so that they get used to and they don't depart from it when they grow older. And I think that's a little bit of what we're doing when we go into schools to speak to young people, when we give workshop. I mean, we work also with organization like UNESCO, which focuses on the youth multiplier, um, regarding sustainability. So basically, they're empowering young people on how to be change makers in their own communities. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell. But you can visit our page. You can go on www.intai.org, and you can also like our Facebook page on Facebook. Hello, Emmanuel. Can you hear me?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ornella. I'll also be asking you moving forward that what can we do? How do we begin to also, what can the society actually, yeah, can you, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Hello?
I can hear you
Okay,
perfectly.
so I'll take a few more messages and then I hope Ornella comes back and then we will wrap up. I'm trying to ask her what she thinks the society can also do to encourage that because the parents alone can't help the situation. We need all hands on deck to make sure that we raise a generation of people who would love and imbibe the culture of reading. Olawale said there isn't even any culture itself, not to talk of how it can even grow. So when Onela comes back, I'll get her to tell us her last words and what we can all do to make children and people generally read. I'll take a few messages here, even though there are so many, but then I'll just take a few text messages here. This one says, good afternoon, Worry, and nice topic you have there. I think Onella just nailed it, and even what Favor said. Our people need to read more, and that way, a reading nation is a growing nation. I don't know, maybe Onella should help us talk about that. This is from Tony in Worry. Will we be a growing nation? Well, I don't know. That's a new slang. A new word I've learned today. Onella, what do you think about this? A reading nation is a growing nation.
Absolutely, because reading gives you knowledge, and knowledge is power. So I completely agree with that. A reading nation is a growing nation, and there's the need to read, and there's a need to impart more knowledge, in order to make informative decision. So I totally agree with him on that. And you were asking earlier, Emmanuel, about what that the responsibility does not only lays with parents, but also that uh,
Yeah, yeah.
the society needs to, both the society, the schools, the government needs to sort of take part in bringing back the reading culture. And I totally agree with that 100%. And I think it goes back to a bit of what we are doing as well with the organization, linking in with schools, in order to create effective change. I think one thing that can definitely help, it's school curriculum. For example, if I should take a personal example, when I used to be in secondary school, for example, some times ago, we used to have times where we only focus on a particular book, on a particular novel. We would read about it, we would understand it, we would debate about it, we would have different perspective. And I think that in itself is great because it built this type of reading culture. Although the novels were not factual, they were fictional, at least it created this passion for fictional reading. So basically, we're just reading for the sake of reading. I don't know how different school curriculum are everywhere in the world, but I think it's definitely important, and it would be advantageous for any school or institution to have this type of session within classes where the school child can have a reading session every day, focus on a book, focus on a topic that you want to sort of learn more about, and have the class reading simultaneously on that particular topic or on that particular novel, and so there can be debate about it. I think that's a great way of kind of building back the culture. And I think we're
Mm.
starting to lose that gradually.
True, true. Okay, we're wrapping up now, Nella, and I'd like you to give us your parting shot, what you think moving forward, what you think we can all do, to um, uh, it's not that bad, right?
No, it's
it's
not that
it's it's
bad.
yeah. So it's not an emergency, so to say.
Yeah.
But if we also don't find a way of bridging the disconnect, we will keep finding more young people drift away because technology is advancing. We never can tell what next will come. We have HD now. Who knows? Something else. I mean, many years back, people won't believe that they could even just browse from their television. And now companies are saying, you know what, you don't have to be watching TV and be holding your phone. You can as well just face the TV and then just be checking your mail as you watch the TV right in front of you. So and some of this technology also helps in weakening that urge to want to read, because who wants to really take time and stress yourself in reading when you could just relax and sit down, easy does it and all that. So
Yeah.
in your parting words, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I think technology in itself is not bad when it comes to reading. I think it's the way we look at it. But I think we can use
Mm,
technology to our advantage. I think technology is a great form of, reinforcing reading. I think technology can even help us to elevate our reading understanding by connecting with people all over the world through different book clubs. Now you have online book clubs, and we live in an age where we cannot longer use technology as an excuse not to do certain things. We have seen it with the corona crisis. I think it's time that we start to adapt into the new technology and see how we can use that to our advantage. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have book clubs, we do have accessibility online to read more. So I think it's based on different community, different individual to deliberately take the decision to want to read because the accessibility is there because of technology. The communities are there because of technology. So I think if you want to have access to the information, if you want to read, use technology to your advantage rather than your detrimental, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
issues. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
true, true. So any other thing you'd like us to talk about before we finally wrap up? Are there any angles you need us to look at this from? Because this is very deep and network has been really bad. I'd wanted us to also look at angles of where um having family reunions where parents can just sit with their grandchildren and tell them stories about how their own mothers, were like when they were children, having grannies just sit around, have family reunions and talk about these things and read it out. It makes for a culture, because you said something when we started that reading also has an um it has a relationship with also how people write, because it passes that intellect, so it connects for you. As when you are able to read and understand, you'll be able to pass your knowledge or pass across information when you write it. So what else do you think, what else would you like us to talk about before we wrap up the program?
Yeah, I think the impartation of knowledge and the two things I want to say. First is the impartation of knowledge, and secondly is adaptability. Because one, impartation of knowledge, we have to see and see the trend. You mentioned earlier about telling story. I think before the same thing happened, but it was an era of where people were sitting down in community and story was told from mouth to another person. That's how knowledge was imparted. We went through an era where technology was not at a booming point, where knowledge was imparted via reading, and reading was taken very seriously, but the accessibility was not there as it is today. And now we're living in an era where knowledge is imparted via technology, and whether it's in a reading form, in a video form, or in any other form, we see how technology have changed all our lives. So I think definitely the most important thing is to have that impartation of knowledge from a former generation to a present generation, and finally to being able to adapt, because I think the most important thing is not to lose the writing skills that reading have on us, because reading has um, such an amazing impact when it comes to writing. If you go and read, you'd see your vocabulary, your writing skills would go from a scale from 5 to 10 in a matter of months. So I think those fundamental elements are so important, not to lose, in however form we choose to adapt to impart the knowledge or to access the knowledge or to, you know, um, adapt to technology.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been amazing having you on the show. So, anyone
Thank
you
you
want
for
to
having
give your
me.
felicitations to? Yeah, you're welcome. So, anyone you want to give your felicitations to before we
I
close?
just I just want to say thank you to you all who continue to watch the show, and thank you for everyone who is always very supportive, especially when it relates to young people. I also want to just say that we're living in a very difficult time, difficult era at the moment, but I'm so glad that the information is accessible, whether it's via reading or via videos, and people are able to make more informative decisions, and people are standing up for their rights, and people are making the right moves. Because of the era that we live in, I'm also conscious of when it relates to young people, there is a level of mental health. I think it's important to create awareness around that, and also to um, just be kind to one another and support one another, and support one another, with everything that is happening. I mean, in Ireland at the moment, we are still on a second lockdown. This is after going through a first lockdown, and now with the winter coming, it's not easy on people. So I just want to encourage, everyone out there who may be struggling mentally, um, with their situation at the moment, whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement, the Corona crisis, the impact that it have had on jobs. So I just want to encourage people out there. So we are in this together, and thank you for your support and everything. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah. Thank you so much for finding time to join us. Okay, that's the size of our program. I want to thank everyone who joined us, and thanks to all my guests. Even though Favor's network was a bit terrible and she kept going off the radar, but thank you, Favor Bassi, all the way from Abuja, Nigeria, for being our guest too, and most especially thank you, Onela Nana. She's this is like the third time she's been on our show all the way from Dublin, Ireland. She's always supportive of our programs. And anytime we call upon her, even when she's busy, she still finds time to join us. So thank you, Onella, and our regards to everyone. And please stay safe. And we hope that this too will pass. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and thank you all for joining us. To everyone who sent in messages, to Karim, all the way from Karim Jackson, all the way from Philippines, Asia, to Mozamil Adamo, let's see, to Matthias Idris from Kano. David Vandy also sent a message from United States of America, and it says, "Good morning, watching my beautiful daughter Favor Franke Bassi from Virginia, USA. Thank you. So sorry that network became so terrible and Favor couldn't join us anymore." And Oladele Olawole, also from the United States of America, sent his own message too. And that was one of the messages that my guest, Onela Nana, also read from the screen. And yes, Edo someone, Rosemary, all the way from Abuja, Nigeria, also sent in a message and said, "Good job to Favor and Onela." Thank you all for joining us. And do remember that we're streaming live from 3 destinations, and the videos will be here even after this live streaming, and you can watch it after, you can share with your friends and all that. Till I see you all on Tuesday for the Tuesday's edition. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that when we come on live next time, you'll be able to join us. Thanks so much to everyone who's always been supporting us to make sure that this program comes on every episode twice a week. We truly appreciate it. And thanks for finding time to join us. So have a beautiful weekend and enjoy the rest of the day till I see you all, God willing, on Tuesday's edition. Bye bye.